Good morning. Thanks, Dr. Venkatesh. I'll be speaking on myopic foveosis. No financial disclosures. So, myopic foveosis is a recent entity which has become very commonly, it is being found because of the advent of SDOCT. If you just do a slit lamp examination, many times you are going to miss myopic foveosis. So, what do you mean by myopic foveosis? It is the intraretinal cleavage in the myopic posterior staphyloма. The term was coined by Takano and Kishi in 1999. Incidence is around 9 to 20%. It is more commonly seen in elderly patients, but you can see in young people also. And many times it could be asymptomatic, but the patients can definitely have distortion of the vision, decrease in vision. So symptoms can be there. So here you can see the hyperreflective spaces, and you can see some columns that are interspersed between here, and this is it could be ILM, it could be ERM. So these are known as premacular structures, and you can see a foveal detachment. So this is how the myopic foveosis looks on SDOCT. So on slit lamp you may just see a sort of tessellated fundus with a posterior staphyloma. It's difficult to really pick up foveosis on SDOCT. OCT is very critical, and there was a study, SDOCT study done on 200 highly myopic eyes. So in 6% of the patients, ILM detachment was seen, retinoschisis was seen in almost 13.5% of the cases, and retinal microvascular folds. So these are also commonly seen if you do SDOCT. So all patients, high myopic patients more than 6, as a routine you should do SDOCT, and you can definitely pick up the vitreoretinal changes associated with such patients. So what is the pathophysiology? So the main thing is there is a tangential traction that could be due to the ERM, and it could be due to the ILM, that is the internal limiting membrane. The ILM can be rigid and tense. And the other important thing is the retinal vessels. The retinal vessels itself, sort of, it's like a cloth line that you see. So the vessels are taut, so that itself can cause schisis. And the axial traction, that is the posterior vitreous cortex, increased axial length. There is weak adhesions between the neurosensory retina and the RP because of the chorioretinal atrophy, and all this will cause a potent tractional force, and this can cause myopic foveosis. And the one important thing is clinically you may not see any membranes or epiretinal membrane on the retinal surface, but on microscopic examination many times you see membranes, and splitting of the vitreous cortex is very commonly seen. And the other thing is there is a disparity in the length of the sclera and retina. So all these factors lead to myopic foveosis. These are the SDOCT features. You can see the schisis here involving the outer retinal layers, inner retinal layers, and these column-like formations are often noted across the hyperreflective space, which are histologically proven as Muller cells, bridging the inner and outer retina. And these are, I was talking about the premacular structures. This is a hyperreflective line overlying the inner schisis. So this could be partly detached posterior hyaloid, ERM, or ILM also. And on electron microscopy, it was found to have, it was a thin posterior hyaloid layer, and ILM was not seen. And this is the retinal microvascular traction. So you can see this is a blood vessel, and it is lifting the retina. So all these factors cause myopic foveosis. And here you can see a foveal detachment. So, and the other entity it can cause is macular hole. So it can occur spontaneously, or it is commonly seen after doing vitrectomy. So there are two types of, two patterns are involved. When the pattern 1, there is a development of outer lamellar hole and a small foveal detachment, and then these enlarge to form the macular hole. The other pattern could be an inner lamellar hole which progresses directly to a full thickness macular hole. The importance is once you have a macular hole, then it can quickly progress to detachment because there are forces pulling on the retina. So it can rapidly go into a detachment. This is the classification, 3 types. This is the just retinoschisis is seen, the other is the foveal detachment type, and the third is the macular hole type. So these are the 3 types of phoveosis. So what is a long-term follow-up and the consequence of myopic phoveosis? So 29 operated and non-operated cases were followed up. The mean follow-up was 31 months. 9 were stable. 20 eyes worsened. So as you see, most of the eyes worsen with time. And the worsening is seen more in cases which have foveal detachment or which have the premacular structures at baseline. At presentation, if you see premacular structures and foveal detachment, then these patients have to be closely followed up, and if the patient is symptomatic, then the option of vitrectomy is there. And 9 eyes develop macular hole, 6 spontaneous and 3 after vitreous surgery. So a large proportion of the cases can develop macular hole. It could develop spontaneously or after intervention also. So what is the treatment? The treatment is vitrectomy plus complete removal of the posterior hyaloid. So the removal of hyaloid is very important because schisis is very commonly seen, and as I alluded earlier, microscopic level ERMs is very common. So you should definitely use staining of the vitreous cortex. You should stain the vitreous so that you don't leave any vitreous behind. And if you perform ERM and ILM peeling, then you are sure that everything, all vitreous, all membranes have been removed. So if possible, then ILM peeling should be performed in all the cases. But ILM peeling is not easy because the contrast is poor, and many times there is a large posterior staphyloма where instruments are not able to reach there, so you have to go in for different type of instruments, longer instruments. So in peeling ILM you should not cause more problem, but if possible you should definitely try to peel ILM. And lack of contrast also is important, and you have to work on a sort of slope, so surgery is a little challenging. The other options have been tried is adjustable macular buccal. You can see this indentation. Buccal can be placed, and this is a T-shaped buccal side. So nowadays, with the advent of vitrectomy, good instrumentations, this has sort of become a salvage procedure. You first do vitrectomy, and rarely you could take the help of these buccals also. So vitrectomy for macular holes associated with myopic phoveosis, they don't do very well. So in this study, the macular hole closed in 2 eyes, the vision improved 2 lines in 3 and remained unchanged in 3 and worsened in 2 eyes. And in one case the hole enlarged. The post-operative BCVA was significantly correlated with the pre-operative visual acuity. So, but the retinoschisis resolved in all cases. The surgical results of vitrectomy for macular holes is not as good as if you do just for a retinoschisis type. So you have to keep a close follow-up. And early detection is important. These are a couple of cases that I will show. This is case 1, so you can see the right eye. So you can see the right eye just shows the phoveosis and a premacular structure here, and the left eye has premacular structure with foveal detachment. So the patient's vision in the right was 6'9", left eye was 3 meters. Many times you will be surprised that with phoveosis also the patient could have good vision. So just the presence of retinoschisis should not tell you that you go ahead and operate. So in this case, because of the foveal detachment, the vision was less, and the patient said that recently the vision has come down. So I gave the option of surgery to this patient. So the patient underwent vitrectomy, ILM peeling plus gas injection. So this is at presentation, you can see. This is at 1 month. So you can see the phoveosis has improved. This subretinal fluid that was present, that also has decreased. And this is at 2 months, and this is post after 17 months. So the patient definitely felt better. So there's not a very dramatic improvement in vision wise, but patient felt better, and at least you could prevent it from progressing further. So definitely anatomically you can get good results. So this is another case. So here also at presentation, actually it's not very well seen, but the patient has a macular hole here. The other eye also had a macular hole, and this eye also had a macular hole with phoveosis. So this patient also underwent vitrectomy plus ILM peeling plus gas injection, and 12 months is doing well. The macular hole is closed. So basically myopic phoveosis is a common finding in highly myopic eyes with posterior staphyloma, and OCT is very important to diagnose this entity. Left untreated MF can result in significant visual loss, Vitrectomy with or without island peeling followed by gas tamponade is the standard treatment. So you can just do FG also, that also will work, but if you put gas then the tamponade is there and the resolution of the chysis could be faster if you use gas. Most of the times you don't have to really put oil, but if you tend to cause some break, in that case you may have to use silicone oil injection. So the natural and post-operative history of myopic foveal chysis needs to be better documented to allow more confident decisions for surgical treatment. So most of the studies or whatever is there in the literature are small case series of 7 cases, 10 cases. So there is no randomized RCT, but whatever the data is there, so we have to give the patient the option of vitrectomy. Yeah, thanks.